DA leader John Steenhuisen says he's confident his party, along with several other oppositions, can unseat the ANC next year. Under an agreement dubbed the Moonshot Pact, Steenhuisen says the alliance will exclude the EFF. He gave an update a short while ago, emphasizing this is the only feasible way, for an alternative government. Athi Mtongana is joining us live from Cape Town for a debrief of sorts. So, Athi, we know that parties that have rejected the Moonshot Pact outright are the African Christian Democratic Party, the UDM, as well as Sheloba, the new formation by Bongani Baloyi.
Yes, that's correct, Dudu. You would recall that during the DA's Congress earlier on, the leader of the official opposition party, when he was re-elected onto that podium, he made a speech announcing this National Convention moonshot plan that the party is now adopting going into the 2024 elections. They are hoping to, of course, take the lead as the official opposition party to the governing party, but they would need, of course, the assistance of other political parties. You would recall that even in the build-up to the then local government elections, they had a problem with the smaller political parties that were eating up at some of its key areas, even including here in the Western Cape, which is run by the Democratic Alliance. So you're correct, there are those political parties that have not agreed, and there are those political parties that have agreed to this moonshot pact that the Democratic Alliance has now developed. In fact, the leader of the opposition party, Steenhuisen, saying that he has approached about 15 different political parties, and many of them, of course, still in consultation stages. I can tell you that those that have agreed, at least in the stage, is the IFP, Action SA, the NFP, FF Plus and UIM. I'd like us to listen to what he said about the pact.
The prospect of a united opposition working hand in hand to grow the combined non-ANC and EFF vote to 50% plus one offers another reason for hope. And that is why we must do everything in our power to forge a strong and lasting pact against the ANC and EFF. And I can today report back that the Moonshot Pact is indeed starting to take shape. In total, we have now corresponded with the leaders of 15 different organizations, asking them to join us in the effort to form a pre-election Moonshot Pact. The only opposition leaders who were not invited are those who are currently aligned to the ANC and the EFF. In the spirit of unity and cooperation, the invitation was also not limited to parties already represented in Parliament or in municipal councils.
Well, as I did mention, Dudu, there are those political parties that have agreed to be part of this Moonshot Pact. And it is also important to emphasize, like he has alluded, John Steenhuisen, that all of this is in the effort of outrunning the ANC as well as the EFF. But let's listen to him when he outlined which political parties are willing to join the Moonshot Pact.
Mr. Velenkosini Stabisa from the Inkatha Freedom Party, Mr. Herman Mashaba from Action South Africa, Mr. Ahmed Sheikh Imam from the National Freedom Party, Dr. Peter Groenewald from the Freedom Front Plus, Mr. Neil de Beer from the United Independent Movement, and of course myself representing the Democratic Alliance. In addition to parties that have already agreed, Mr. Musi Maimane from Build One South Africa and Mr. Songezo Zivi from Rise Mzansi have suggested that they are still considering their responses. Leaders from the African Independent Congress, African Transformation Movement, Abantu Batho Congress, Pan-African Congress, and Minority Front are yet to respond.
Also very important to note, Dudu, you'd have heard there Steenhuisen mentioning the former leader of the DA, Mmusi Maimane, who's ventured off, of course, to open his own political party. John Steenhuisen is saying that Maimane is considering this issue and that they have not entirely said yes or no, but it is something that they are, as a new party that Maimane formed, are really considering at this stage. And so I'd also like us to listen to those political parties that have disagreed to join the DA's moonshot pact.
Unfortunately, however, I must report that the following three party leaders have rejected the plea for cooperation. Reverend Kenneth Meshwe from the African Christian Democratic Party, General Bantu Holomisa from the United Democratic Movement, and Mr. Bongani Boloyi from Chiluva. While I absolutely respect the rights of these leaders to determine their own way forward for their parties, I do ask them to please reconsider.
So you have heard it, Dudu, from the leader of the official opposition party, John Steenhuisen, outlining some of the developments that they have gotten into insofar as this moonshot pact that the party has developed, parties that have agreed and parties that have not agreed, and some of the political parties that are still considering whether they should or should not get into this moonshot pact, which is aimed essentially at giving the weight to the Democratic Alliance, which wants to outseat the ANC. And of course, you know that the DA has vehemently said repeatedly that they will not go into any form of agreement with the economic freedom fighters. And so all of this is in an effort to basically outrun the ANC and to also basically shrug the EFF as well.
Athi Mtongana, thank you very much for that update.